Hey cats, what's happening? I'm working on a old poster. Believe it or not, I got another workbench similar to this one, but I got one down in the basement of the house. That was my original workshop before I had the man cave. And I was poking around down there, and down in the basement of the house, like up stuffed in the rafters, was a roll of these posters. And I used to have these when I was a teen in my bedroom. Of course, that Peter Fonda there, Captain America. I got a couple other ones. I got another Peter Fonda there. And then there was a couple over here. I had this Pink Floyd poster and a Cheech and Chong poster. I haven't done anything with this one yet. It's Pink Floyd. It needs cleaned up a little bit. And honestly, I don't even know where I'm going to put them. But I mean, this one's pretty big, and you can see it's pretty well worn out. And so what I had to do is glue it onto a piece of cardboard. I used this spray adhesive. I sprayed it on the cardboard, and then I just put the poster on there because it's very brittle. It would fall apart. But it made me, brought back memories of when I was a teen. And the room that I stayed in was, well, let's put it this way. You see how our catio is on the end of the house there, on the front porch. That was that was like where my bedroom was. It was completely enclosed, and you could only get into it from the front porch. There was no access to the house. And that was my room, and I had it fixed up with these posters and everything. And I used to play a lot of music. I had a pretty rockin' stereo system in there, and so the neighbor kids would come down and hang out just so they could listen to some rock and roll. Now, how did I ever actually get started in the rock and roll? It's an interesting story. My mother had a friend who was Russian Orthodox. They lived a few miles down the road, and there was a fairly new family that moved into the neighborhood. And this lady made the Ukrainian Easter eggs. I don't know if you've ever seen the Ukrainian Easter eggs, but they're really intricately decorated. And having some artistic talent, I found that really amazing how anybody could do that. And so this lady offered, she said, well, bring your son over and I'll teach him how to make Ukrainian Easter eggs. So my mom and I went over to this lady's house, and little did I know that she had a teenage son who I never met and never even saw. I don't even know what he looks like, but he lived there. And of course, like any teen, he was locked up in his bedroom, didn't want anything to do with the Ukrainian Easter egg thing. I was a little bit younger, and I found some interest in it. So as we're sitting there and decorating these eggs, this kid starts playing music in his bedroom. And what do you think he plays? Born to be Wild by Steppenwolf. You remember that one? Born to be wild. Yeah. And that stuck in my head. I could hear that music coming from his bedroom, and I thought, wow, that's really cool music. I really like that. It's right up my alley. I got to find out what that is. So yeah, here's this kid holed up in his bedroom with the door shut, blasting Steppenwolf. Little does he know what a huge influence he's just made on me. Now, mind you, I still, to this day, don't know who the kid was, and I don't think he even realizes what he did to me. And so I go home and I pulled out this little AM/FM transistor radio that I had and set it up in my bedroom. I didn't have a stereo system at that time. And I started listening to the rock and roll radio stations. Sure enough, I found it. And, learned that it was by Steppenwolf, and learned that the song was called Born to Be Wild, and I pretty much had all the words down, memorized by the time the whole thing was said and done. Along with 100 other rock and roll songs. So being that I really liked it that much, I took this little radio, and I took it apart, and I had these old car speakers. They were just, the 1960s type car speakers, just a round speaker with a magnet on the back. And I took 2 speakers, and I had some telephone wire, the real fine stuff that I stripped out, and I wired both of those speakers to that transistor radio. And so I had stereo sound coming from around my bedroom. I had a speaker over here, and the radio down here. So if I got right in the middle, I could hear that stereo sound between the two. The things a kid will come up with, But then I realized that wasn't quite enough. As I got a little older, I told my dad, I said I would really like a nice stereo system and something that has really good sound to it. So the first thing I bought was this Panasonic stereo AM/FM receiver with a turntable. And that was way better than the little, AM/FM or the little AM radio that I had. That I had the car speakers hooked up to. It had a much better sound, but it just didn't have the woomph that I wanted. So I went back to the to an audio store that sold stereo equipment, and I bought these Fisher XP12 speakers. Took them home, and I wired them up to my Panasonic AM/FM receiver turntable, and all I got was like a crackle. I thought, what in the heck's going on? So I go back to the audio store, and I said, hey, I bought these really nice Fisher speakers, and I can't get any sound out of them. And they said, what are you playing them on? And I told them, and they said, well, good grief, you're going to need an amplifier. So from there, I bought this Sansui amplifier. Plugged that in, hooked that all up, and boom, I had sound. I had sound like you wouldn't believe. It was beautiful. I could play all my record albums, I could listen to the radio, I could crank it up, and it just, incredible music, incredible sound. And the neighbor gang, the guys would come down and hang out, and we'd all be doing some head banging, some air guitar. That's what we did. Later I added the tape deck to it, and still have the stereo today. It still works. It still works fine. We don't listen to it too much. I lost my entire record collection. I had hundreds of records. Everything from Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, Neil Young, Joe Walsh. I had everything, and I had a huge collection. And went through the divorce, and that was the end of that, because they disappeared one day with a lot of other of my stuff. So where they are today, I have no idea, but I don't have them, and I never did replace any of those record albums. Well, that's the sound of music today in our house, and right now our music of choice isn't so much the rock and roll. We like it a little mellower, so we're more into country right now. And aside from that, we have one of those Amazon Echo things, and we can play classic country, which takes you way back, like Johnny Cash, Jim Reeves, Tammy Wynette, and I mean some really oldies, and those are fun to listen to. I mean, so a lot of those told a really good story. So yeah, music is a good thing, and it brought back many memories when I pulled these old posters out and started hanging them up around here. Well, thanks for watching, guys. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to my videos and give me a thumbs up. Until next time, I will catch you later.